Hi, this is Erin Martin with another Byteweiser.com tutorial. This is another Photoshop CS5 tutorial, and we're going to do tonight's lesson about layers. This will be a basic introduction to layers, so if you already have a very thorough understanding of what layers are and their basic functions, this tutorial is not for you. This is more for the novice user. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Right now, I just have a background layer, so there's nothing on top or underneath it. We're going to create a new layer, and the way you do that is this button right here, and it will automatically be called Layer 1. If I turn off the background layer, you'll see in this little eyeball, turning that off makes it so it's not visible. And as you can see, you just got these gray and white squares here. That is just the Photoshop's way of telling you that it's transparent. So you can kind of think of this like the transparencies that you would see in school of teachers putting those on the overhead projector and then writing on them. It's kind of like that, except in this case it's on top of a picture. So let's go ahead and put something on this layer. We're gonna click on our brush tool here, and I've already selected a different shape. Instead of doing something round, we're just going to go with a star, and let's make it fairly large. That'll work. And we're already with white. That's what I want to do. So let's just put a few stars on here. That'll look nice. And since we've done that, let's go ahead and rename this layer. The way you do that is just double click. One second here. You double click on the name and you'll get this box, and we'll call this the star layer, and then hit enter, and now that is what it's called. Now the cool thing about layers is, now had I brushed these onto the actual picture, I couldn't move these stars or transform them in any way. But since this is on a layer, a transparent layer, I can actually click on the move tool, and I can actually move these stars if I decide I want them up here or down here or over here. I can actually do that. So that's kind of the nice thing about a layer. The other cool thing is I can transform the stars. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to hit Control T, and you'll get this box around the stars, and I can make them larger. I can rotate them. All things I couldn't have done had I not put these on a layer. The other cool thing about the transform function is that if I hit this little chain link thing here, this actually locks the original dimensions, the original ratio I should say, so that way I don't lose the actual shape. If I don't have that on, it's really easy to flatten out the stars. But if I turn that on, it takes it back to its original ratio. And that's very handy, a very handy function of the transform function here. So let's just put them, let's rotate them a little for fun, and we'll hit enter. And so there's that. Now, right now this layer is on top of my background layer, and the background layer is locked, so I can't move that underneath. But if I double click on my background layer, this little dialog box will come up and it'll say layer 0. If I go ahead and make that a layer 0, that makes it so I actually can put stuff underneath that layer. So if I put the star layer under, I can't even see them anymore because now this picture is on top of my layer. But I can always move it back and put it back on top. So in a way you can kind of think about it like stacks of paper. If I put this piece of paper under this piece of paper, you can't see it anymore, and vice versa. Okay, now another thing you can do is delete layers. The way you would do that is if you have this layer highlighted, you can just go to this little trash can thing here, and it'll ask you if you really want to do it, and you can hit yes, and it'll get rid of it. So if you totally hate what you were doing, you can always delete it and start over. I'm going to bring that layer back. I'm going to hit Control Alt Z, and that brings that layer back for me and moves back a step. Another thing you can do with layers is actually create a text layer using your text tool. And whenever you do that, it actually will create a whole new layer. So let's say along with these stars I want to put this little girl's name on here. Let's go with something kind of fun. Let's see, I want white. What kind of fonts do we have here? I want to find something kind of girly and cute. That might be kind of cute. Well, let's go kind of big. So now I've put her name on here. I can move this around anywhere I want. I can put it here, I can put it here, but we'll just stick it over here for now. And once you're done putting your text in, you can just click on the layer. The layer will automatically rename itself to whatever text you put in here. And again, just like with the other layer, I can move that text layer underneath and then you won't see it anymore. So there's that. Now let's say I'm happy with what I have here. I can always right click on my layer 0 and flatten the image. And voila! Now instead of having 3 layers, I just have 1. The entire thing is flattened and ready to go. Now let's say you did that and you think, oh man, I'd really like to move her name. Just hit Ctrl-Alt-Z and that'll take you back 1 step before you flattened. And you're still on your text tool here, so you can just click on it, the box will come back, and just kind of move it around until you get those the little move crosshairs there, and then you can move it. Click on the layer again, and voila, we can go ahead and flatten it. So that is a brief introduction to layers and what they are. And like I said, you can just kind of think of them as like stacks of paper on top of each other, or even transparencies on top of each other. And that's basically how they work. So our next tutorial will be over layer masks. And should you have any questions, you can contact me on Byteweiser.com. Have a great night.